Hi, this is Todd Killian from Christmas Clatter Podcast, where we celebrate everything that makes Christmas special. One of those very special things is Christmas Past Podcast and Brian Earl. I'd like to congratulate Brian and Christmas Past on reaching the wonderful milestone of 100 episodes. Brian, you've entertained and inspired us all. Here's to your next 100 episodes, when you yourself will be Christmas nostalgia for a whole new generation. Well done, my friend, and congratulations again on 100 episodes of Christmas Past Podcast.
Hey, this is Tim Babb from the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast, and I wanted to send a big congratulations to Brian on 100 episodes of Christmas Past. That is a great achievement. I remember back when my podcast hit 100 episodes. Wait a minute. I haven't done 100 episodes of my podcast. I gotta go. Congratulations!
Thanks, Todd and Tim. And thank you for joining me for Christmas Past's 100th episode. Now, if we're being literal about things, episode 100 already happened. But I'm not counting things I released as trailers for an upcoming season. This is the 100th actual episode of the show. Now, if you're listening to this sometime in the future, this episode arrived in April of 2020, and the world is still more or less on lockdown amidst the COVID-19 crisis. The news reports are showing some parts of the world returning to normal slowly, or getting ready to anyway. I never would have imagined that episode 100 would arrive at a time like this, but then again, when I started Christmas Past in 2016, I didn't have any notion of even reaching episode 100. But here we are, and before we go any further, I hope that you are staying safe and healthy. I hope that you're practicing all of the common sense guidelines and taking your advice only from trained medical professionals. It looks like there's still a little while to go yet, but we'll get through it together. A little over a week ago, I was interviewed as part of a university research study on independent podcasters whose work could be considered educational. We discussed how and why the show came to be, how it evolved, and where it's heading. That discussion just so happened to coincide with my starting to think about what I wanted to do for the 100th episode. So I thought it would be fun to take a look back and a look ahead and hear from some of the friends we've made along the way. Like these.
Hey Brian, it's Jenna from Welcome to Tinseltown. I'm calling in today to congratulate you on 100 episodes of Christmas Past. I'm sure it feels like a very strange time to be celebrating such a milestone, but I think if anything, what this time has proven is that the spirit of Christmas really can be celebrated year-round. Thank you so much for making Christmas Past, and I wish you all the best at this time. Thanks, Brian.
Hi everyone, Dwayne here from the Tinsel Tunes podcast down here in New Zealand. And I'd like to congratulate Brian on his 100th episode of the Christmas Past podcast. I think it's quite amazing that you've been able to release 100 episodes as well as help get Tinsel Tunes off the ground, Christmas Clatter podcast off the ground, and a few others as well. We thank you so much for all your involvement in Christmas podcasting, and we hope to hear from you for many years to come with many, many more awesome episodes. So thank you again, all the best, Merry Christmas.
Christmas Past started out, like so many things in my life do, on the page of a notebook. I always have one with me, filled with to-do lists, ideas, long-term goals, short-term goals, and sometimes vague notions. For a long time, I had a note to myself to do something Christmassy. That was it, just something Christmassy. I'd even transfer that from one notebook to another when it was time to start a new one. I've always loved Christmas, no surprise there, I'll bet, and I had the notion that I wanted to contribute something to it. Put something out there that would become part of how other people experience and celebrate this thing that I love so much. And for I don't know how long, it just stayed like that, a back-of-the-mind notion that I'd play around with every now and then. I toyed around with creating a product, writing a screenplay, creating an event, and to be sure, I'm still considering all of those things for some time down the road. But it was in 2015 when I was listening to lots of podcasts put out by public radio. Freakonomics, Radiolab, ones like that. Around Christmas time, I wondered if NPR had any Christmas podcasts, so I went looking, and I didn't find any. What I did find was a podcast called The Christmas Stocking, hosted by Lee Cameron. And at that moment, things came together. That satisfying click when something that's been at the back of your mind suddenly snaps into place. From The Christmas Stocking, I learned that it was possible for an independent podcaster to produce something that's short, well done, and worth listening to. And it occurred to me that there was a gap that I could fill, with a podcast modeled after my favorite shows which take the ordinary and familiar and turn it into the fascinating and delightful. by focusing on storytelling and finding surprising backstories and hidden or unexpected connections. The core of this show has been since 2016 and always will be the fascinating backstories to your favorite Christmas traditions. That and me doing a middling impression of an NPR host. And the other thing at its core, really the beating heart of Christmas Past, is you. One of the very first creative decisions I made about the show was that it would include your voices sharing the memories and traditions that make Christmas uniquely your own. I never could have anticipated how many of you would share. And for the last few years, I've had to put out a separate episode each season dedicated just to you and that. Speaking of which, let's have one from David.
For as long as I can remember, my whole family would gather at my grandma and grandpa's house on Christmas Eve to celebrate, exchange gifts, eat food, and just hang out and have a good time. When we were younger, Santa Claus would even come over, and we'd all get to sit on his lap and tell him what we wanted for Christmas. With all this going on, you can imagine that sometimes the nights went on late, and we wouldn't leave Grandma and Grandpa's house until, 10 or 11 o'clock sometimes. When we would get home, I'd be all excited for Christmas morning the next day, and I'd still be charged up from all the excitement of that evening. So, if we had snow on Christmas Eve, one of my favorite things to do would be to get out the snow shovel and shovel the drive and the sidewalks and up to the neighbors' houses. It was nice to do for the neighbors. It was something I enjoyed, but mostly I enjoyed the peace and the quiet that only comes on a Christmas Eve when the snow is covering the ground. So when I think back to Christmases growing up, I think of Christmas Eve at Grandma and Grandpa's and Christmas morning opening presents at my mom's house. But I also think of Christmas Eve night, shoveling snow with just the sound of my boots crunching and the snow shovel scraping, and maybe, just maybe, the sound of sleigh bells over the snow and night air.
Now, one of the other early creative decisions I made was that I would sign off every episode as yours truly, Brian Earl. I've explained before that that's a tip of the hat to an old-time radio show I'm very fond of called Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, and I never pass up an opportunity to try to get people to listen to it. The first 2 seasons of the show, 2016 and 2017, were modestly successful. I came into it with no other intention than contributing something new to Christmas. I'd work on episodes starting in the late summer and early fall, and then release about a dozen between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But in 2018, I decided it was time to grow. By releasing episodes outside of the standard Christmas season, by launching a new site, a YouTube channel, the Facebook group. And along the way, one of the most rewarding parts of all of this has been the people I've been able to meet and connect with along the way. Like these guys.
Hello, it is Bran from the Deck the Hallmark podcast. 100 episodes of Christmas Past. What a big day. What an exciting day. Brian, you're the best. I look forward to this podcast every holiday season. It's been great having you during this crazy time that we're in to give us a little bit of Christmas joy. But yeah, man, every year, this is what I look forward to. Your storytelling, the things that I learn about the holiday that I love. Listen, I think what we all want in life is to learn more things that we don't really need to learn about, but we have fun doing it. Isn't that what learning is all about? And that's what Christmas Past is for me. I love Christmas, and Christmas Past is just the perfect star on top of the tree of my love of Christmas. And so, Brian, keep going. Cheers to 100, and here's to 100 more.
Hi, Brian. It's Alonzo Duralde, author of Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas and occasional guest on Christmas Past. Wanted to say congratulations for hitting episode 100. That's an amazing milestone for any podcast to accomplish. And, the show just keeps getting better and better. I've learned so much from you and from your listeners about the holiday traditions and how people celebrate and what Christmas means to people. And there's so many more stories to be told. I look forward to hearing them from you. Congratulations.
Happy birthday, Brian, or 100th episode, congratulations, whichever is appropriate. This is Kringle from the Weird Christmas Podcast. Just wanted to wish you happy thoughts and say thanks because you were there right when I tried to start doing my thing too, and you gave me lots of good advice, and I've followed your show, of course, ever since, and have always appreciated being on in little bits here and there and just helping you out because what you have is just an excellent, excellent show. So thanks, keep it up. Can't wait to be on the 200th episode too. Take care.
2019 was the biggest season yet, with bonus episodes coming out frequently starting in September, a true crime miniseries, a summer Christmas cookie exchange, a live show from the Great Dickens Christmas Fair, and live appearances around the Bay Area and at the first ever Christmas Con in New Jersey. And in 2020, I decided to take the show year-round. From January through August, I released 2 new episodes per month. Interviews, roundtable discussions, trivia games, classic stories, playlists, things like that. Starting in September, I'll go weekly with more of that, and then between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's back to that dozen or so episodes about the backstories behind your favorite Christmas traditions and your Christmas memories. Whatever other experimenting and growing I do with the show, it'll always be around and between that core focus, never at the expense of it. It's all about bringing you as much Christmas cheer as I can. Speaking of you...
Congratulations, Brian, on your 100th episode. What I've been doing in the times of stay-at-home and quarantining is reading Reader Digest's Big Book of Christmas. Currently, I am reading Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Thank you so much for your podcast. Every story that you tell during the quarantine has been very uplifting. So thank you for the podcast and all that you do.
Hi, Brian. My name is Melissa, and I live with my boyfriend in southern Rhode Island. And we want to let you know that we are huge fans of the Christmas Past podcast. We just discovered it in 2019, and we're instantly hooked. Because we subscribe, we got the alert that you were going to be reviving the podcast to help keep us all in good spirits during the coronavirus quarantine days. And we want you to know that you are accomplishing your mission. You are terrific at what you do, and you really elicit so much nostalgia and emotion in the things that you share on your podcast. And we just want to let you know that it does not go unnoticed over in these parts, and we really appreciate you. Thanks for all you do. Bye-bye.
Hey, Brian, it's Greg. I want to congratulate you on 100 episodes of your podcast. I'm so happy that I found your podcast I think it's been over a year at this point, and I love it. It is so warm, genuine, and cozy. It makes you feel like it's Christmas, evening, and you're sitting by a fire and you're just listening to your podcast. It just gives you a great feeling, and I'm so happy you're continuing to do your podcast over the years, and you're going to continue it in the future as well. So congratulations on that. And I also want to say, as you know, thank you for playing my band's single last Christmas in 2019. I super appreciate that. And also, as you know as well, it's crazy for me to find out that you grew up in a town, Stoughton, Massachusetts, which was right next door where I grew up, Brockton, Massachusetts. So it's like completely mind-blowing that I found one of my favorite podcasts, and the guy that creates it grew up miles from my house. So congratulations again, and I wish you nothing but luck and good Christmas tidings in the future.
This is Christmas Kurt from Oakville, Missouri, calling to comment on your Christmas Past episodes during this coronavirus time. I guess I'm just calling to let me know how much we appreciate those of us out here in Christmas land. Appreciate your episodes and how much happiness it's brought to those of us who need a little happiness in these coronavirus times where people are ill and no one is talking or everyone's social distancing. So thank you so much. Yours truly, Christmas Kurt from Oakville, Missouri.
There's really no other way to wrap up this 100th episode than with a thank you. I never could have imagined starting out that Christmas Past would become what it is now. And rest assured, I've got several plans in the works for how I'll continue to grow and evolve the show. And I have you to thank. I just make the show, but it's you who've made it a success. So, thank you. To everyone who's followed me on social media and joined the Facebook group, thank you to everyone who told a friend about the show or left a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you to the teachers and librarians and museum curators who've reached out to say that they're distributing my work. To the event planners who've invited me to make an appearance. to the media who've written about the show, like the Huffington Post and Bustle and the Financial Times, to everyone who's had me on their podcast as a guest or done a collaboration with me, to everyone who shared a Christmas memory, to everyone who shared their expertise as a guest on the show, to everyone who sent me an email to wish me a Merry Christmas or to tell me personally what the show has meant to them. And of course to everyone who has listened to the show and contributed to the 600,000 downloads that Christmas Past has received to date. Not bad for a little show that I record in a spare linen closet. What a wonderful and eventful 4 years it's been, and trust me when I say I'm just getting warmed up for the next 100 episodes and beyond. Whether you're hearing this in April or closer to the Christmas season, whether you're a seasonal or year-round listener, I'm happy to have you in the Christmas Past family. And until we meet again, let me remind you as always that Christmas Past is produced in sunny San Mateo, California by yours truly, Brian Earl. You can always drop me a line at christmaspastpodcast@gmail.com or connect on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please do join the private Christmas Past Facebook group if you haven't yet. And please help spread Christmas cheer by helping more people discover the show. It's as easy as telling a friend about it or leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. If you do leave a review, I'll send you a Christmas Past sticker and a handwritten Christmas card as my way of saying thanks. Get in touch for details. Until we meet again, stay safe and healthy, look out for one another, and may the spirit of Christmas be with you all throughout the year.